Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and it's December time, and every year I try to ramp up my Asian movie collection update videos during this time of year, because some people during the holiday season like to purchase some movies and television series, stuff like that. So I like to do these videos this time of year. I might give you some recommendations on stuff that you may want to purchase. So I'm going to cover a handful of Blu-rays and even a few DVDs in this collection update. And a lot of these are, films that I've purchased sporadically over the past year. And I still have a lot of these videos left to do. I've bought a lot of stuff over the last year or two. Now I got a mix of Japanese stuff, Hong Kong stuff, Korean stuff, and Thai stuff. So let's start with Hong Kong, shall we? And this is A Chinese Odyssey, 2002. Now this is a DVD, and I'm not even sure who released this. Oh, May Entertainment. So I'm not even sure if you could find this anymore. Check eBay, you may be able to get it there. But the Emperor, played by Chang Chen, and the Princess, played by Fei Wong, are bored of palace life. They sneak out of the palace themselves. One day, the princess bumps into a brother, Tony Leung, and a sister, Vicky Zhao, and falls in love with the brother at first sight. However, the princess, who is dressed up as a young gentleman, is attracting the sister. Meanwhile, the emperor falls for the sister, and just as things become more and more complicated, and it just stops right there. So, this movie, actually every movie I'm covering tonight, I have reviewed at some point on my channel. And this one is it's one of the more purely entertaining romantic comedies that I've seen, especially from Hong Kong. And this is almost like a period piece romantic comedy that was produced by Wong Kar-wai. So it's very nicely shot, and the humor is actually really charming in it. So if you're someone who is kind of skeptical of Hong Kong comedies, this is one that I would recommend near the top of the list. There's just something, there's a pure entertainment value to this that just hits all the right marks for me personally. And, you can check out my full-length review for more thoughts. But obviously the cast is pretty fantastic as well, which really helps. And, yeah, I really enjoyed this. In fact, I'm getting the itch to watch it again because I haven't seen it in a little while. This is the all-region DVD, so who knows? You might be able to find it on eBay or Amazon if you look. No special features on this, though. Next is one I covered not too long ago, and that is Hero. Not the movie with Jet Li. This one is with Takeshi Kaneshiro and Eun-gyo, and directed by Ko Yun, I believe, if I remember correctly. And this one is basically, it's based off of Chang Cheh's The Boxer from Shantung. And basically it's about a man who flees an impoverished homeland with his brother, and then they arrive in Shanghai to seek their fortune, but become embroiled in the seedy world of big city triads. And, I mentioned in my full-length review of this one that it's not as good as The Boxer from Shantung, but it's entertaining. It has a little bit more of a slight cheesiness to it at times, I think, and but it works. I think it works. The action scenes are good enough, and the actors do quite a good job, as you might expect. Now, this is the release. This is the Region B Blu-ray release from 88 Films. Oh, actually, it's Region A and B, so that's pretty convenient. Although, a lot of us out here that collect Blu-rays have all-region players or multiple players from different regions, but, if you're somebody who's restricted in that regard, this helps out, an A and B release. And the limited edition features include, some artwork here. We got an audio commentary with Mike Leader and Arnie Venema, a trailer, multiple trailers, shots from the Taiwanese version, and a reversible sleeve featuring the original Hong Kong artwork. So it's good, and a collector book inside as well. This is a pretty good flick, and you should watch The Boxer from Shantung first, though, I think. Oh, here's one. Here's one. I think I reviewed this. It was a while back if I did. And this is one of those, like, if you want to talk about cheese, it doesn't get much cheesier than Skyline Cruisers, baby. This is like, early 2000s Hong Kong action when some of the cheese was in full force. Region A Blu-ray from Panorama Corporation. I got this probably on DDD House website, and it's a Region A Blu-ray with subtitles, of course. Now this movie's really nutty. It's like an action film that's unintentionally hilarious, kind of. You got Leon Lai, a professional thief, shoots his partner who has killed his girlfriend in an operation. He's later caught and meets three thieves, played by Jordan Chan, Sam Lee, and Michelle Saram. And they join together and become the best team of organized commercial thieves. And during an operation, they meet a mysterious girl played by Shu Chi. So, one thing I like about these Panorama releases, you have like a yellow case, which is pretty vibrant. It's kind of orangish yellow, and when it slides in, it has like the Blu-ray symbol up top there. But yeah, this movie is like, the action is ridiculous. It's a little bit different from like a visceral Hong Kong action movie. And, some of the Hong Kong action flicks from the early 2000s kind of had this feel, this kind of like cheesy feel. There's some wire work in this, some weird wire work, some bizarre like choreography at times. I think it's a monkey that has like a pretty important role at the end of the film. Like stuff that's just like, but I actually really enjoy watching this. This is one of those films where I just like, it's just enjoyable. If I remember correctly, I want to say like Wilson Yip directed this, if I remember correctly, but don't quote me on that. But if you want like a post 2000s Hong Kong action flick to just sit back and crack open a beer or something to watch, I quite like Skyline Cruisers, actually. Not much special features, I don't think, unfortunately. Alright, now we got a big time release here. This one, I can't believe I can't remember who released this. Am I going crazy here? This was released by 88 Films as well. And that is the Tiger Cage Trilogy. This is one of the big-time releases of this year. Like, some of my favorite eras of Hong Kong cinema are like the 80s and 90s when they had like the urban action flicks, you know what I mean? And so this stuff's like right up my alley. And obviously I'm greatly looking forward to some of the releases of the Girls with Guns movies that are hopefully going to come out quite soon. But this is a trilogy of films here. You get a pretty wide cast of characters in this as well. I have 3 separate reviews on all of these on my channel, so if you want my thoughts on them, you could check out the reviews. But basically, these are just like good, solid action flicks that are set, I think, mostly in Hong Kong itself. And, the first one, I think, is my personal favorite, although some people argue that the second is better. But I think the plot of the second film is weaker, but maybe the action near the end is better, probably. But, yeah. Tiger Cage. The first one, I think, has a little bit more of like a crime thriller vibe to it, And Donnie Yen has a supporting role in it. Has a pretty fantastic cast. I mean, you got Simon Yam is in it. Jackie Chung is in it. These movies do not mess around. Now, the special features for the first film include audio commentary by Frank Zheng and Vincent Lin. And if you're a newer subscriber, when I did more collaborations with That Fat Samurai guy, like last year when we were doing them like every week, Frank Zheng showed up on a lot of those kind of community discussions. And he's a nice dude, and his commentaries are actually really good. Get some behind-the-scenes footage, archival interviews, all kinds of different stuff here, trailers, everything. So yeah, the first film's my personal favorite, and then the second film, you have Donnie Yen returning and he's like the main lead in the second film. All right, I like the artwork on this pretty too. I like the black cases, pretty sweet with the black cases and the artwork. And you have Rosamund Kwan and Cynthia Khan and Robin Shou is also in this. So it's got a good cast as well. And I think this movie really kind of elevates itself during the latter half when the action really kicks into high gear. But yeah, this is a very good one as well. Special features, you get the reversible sleeves on all of these. Audio commentary with action specialists Mike Leader and Arnie Venema. And audio commentary from Frank Zhang. So, and you get some trailers as well. Yep. Very much enjoy the second one. Like, it makes a really good double feature, part 1 and 2 together. And then just recently, I saw part 3. And part 3, not as good as part 1 and 2, in my opinion. Again, you could check out my full-length reviews of these for why exactly, but I just felt like the action was not quite as good, maybe. Plotting not quite as good. It just felt a little bit flimsier, part 3. But it's still good enough for a watch, for sure. And special features include audio commentary by Kenneth Brorson and Phil Gillian of the podcast On Fire Network, some trailers, etc. And, yeah. Very solid. Very solid. But I typically watch the first 2 more, and I think I will watch them more in the future for, like, a doubleheader evening, you know what I mean? But I will watch the third one on occasion, because it's good enough for reviewing. And then finally, we have like this booklet here. I'll give you a little look-see. Comes with this booklet. And it's got a whole bunch of stuff in it. The booklet's about, how many pages long is this? 90 pages long in the booklet. This is pretty thick. I have yet to read the booklet, actually, which sometimes I get behind on. You have write-ups on each of the 3 films, an interview with Vincent Lin, interview with Stephen Berwick, and interview with Michael Woods, who appears in 1 or 2 of them, I think, 2 of the films, and then credits and stuff. So this is pretty cool, man. I gotta read this when I get a chance. But yeah, Tiger Cage Trilogy release. Very high on my releases of the year, I think. And the films look good, too. The transfers seem to be good. All right. Now we move to... Where do we move to next? Let's do Korea next. All right. Now, the first one here I reviewed not too long ago. It's a film with a slightly controversial plot, but it's very good quality and done in a pretty classy way. And that is Eun-gyo, also known as a Muse. And this is in Region 3 DVD, and I'm not even sure who released it. I'm pretty sure I got this on eBay. Good luck finding this, by the way. I don't know if I got the last copy on the internet, but it seemed that way. And this movie is basically about an older writer. He's kind of lost his passion for stuff, and he meets a younger girl here who he hires as like a housekeeper to help him out clean his house, and she like sparks his desire to like relive his youth. She's a muse, by definition, really, and it inspires him to like write more and stuff like that. But it's a little bit, like I say in my review, it's a little bit like a dicey in terms of some of the inferred sensuality that's present. But I think it's a really good flick. And if you want something that's just a good quality flick, this is definitely a recommendation. I'm not sure if there's any special features on this. Probably not. It's probably not even in English, because I know it has English subs on the disc itself, but I don't think the special features are in English. Now, here's another one I reviewed recently, and this is the Region 3 release. I think I got this from Yes Asia, and that is Happiness. Just reviewed this one. Pretty fantastic cast with Jung-min and Su-jeong, and the acting alone makes this movie worth watching. But again, I described in my review that this is kind of it's not your typical romance. It starts out kind of that way, where you get Hwang's character. He's not in good health. He drinks too much, and he goes to like a clinic, wellness clinic out in like a forest, and that's where he meets the lead actress. And then they develop a romance. And the second half of the film is really where I think the film elevates itself. Not just because you have the really good acting and the script is good, but it develops in ways you might not necessarily expect. And I think this film has a realism to the romance that maybe some other romance films don't have. And so I definitely recommend this. This is a good flick, for sure. And I doubt there are any special features in English, at least. It would be nice if we got more tricked-out releases of Korean films in the U.S. I think South Korea is kind of getting left behind. There's not a lot of tricked-out releases of Korean films in this, which is really odd, given the popularity of certain movies like Parasite and certain TV shows, right, like Squid Game. You think there'd be more of an influx of, like, Korean releases. In the U.S., they had, like, really tricked-out stuff, like some of the, Tiger Cage trilogy, right? You're not really seeing that, though. So I'm kind of, it's kind of odd. And especially for Korean films of this era. We're talking the 2000s. A lot of these movies, Korea made so many awesome movies in the 2000s, and a lot of them are definitely getting left behind. So it's nice to see at least some of them are available on DVD. And that's part of the reason I got them on DVD, is because it's the best way of getting them. Now this one's another one that flies way under people's radars. And that is This Charming Girl. Another film that I reviewed fairly recently. And this movie's another one that's like, it's just really good quality stuff. It's about a woman who is, lives kind of she seems very agreeable, you know what I mean? That type of thing. And, she does her thing, but as the movie moves along, you see some of the scars that she's endured from experiences in the past. And there are certain moments in this movie that are like, subtly intense. Like I talked in my review about the park bench scene, where and it, when you see the movie, you know what I'm talking about, and you're kind of on pins and needles, wondering what's going to happen. And I just think this is a really good flick. It touches upon some issues in a very kind of thoughtful way and good quality way. I don't want to get into too many specifics. But check out my full-length review if you want more color on this. This is another Region 3 DVD, which tends to be a lot of my Korean purchases lately. The Region 3 DVDs with English subs off of websites like Yes Asia or DDD House or eBay. But another really good quality flick. This is a pretty impressive series of films we're covering here. We had a few cheesy ones with Hong Kong, but good quality stuff. Let's do the Thai stuff next. Just got two films, and they're pretty well known, and I've reviewed them, of course. And we got Chocolate with Ji Jae-yanin. I don't know what else there is to say about this movie. It was released by Magnet. It looks like a magnet. And just if you haven't seen this movie and you like action movies, watch it. That's really all I need to say. I remember when this came out, and it kind of blew people's minds. She had this real little girl, and she's just destroying people in this movie. And you could tell they put a lot of effort into like the choreography and her and getting in shape and practicing and everything. And there's some really cool fight scenes in this. Very entertaining movie. And I'm happy to have it on Blu-ray now, because I think my old DVD was like it was either sketchy or low quality or something. So I was looking up online, I'm like, what other movies should I add to my collection? I was looking through my selection of films from Thailand. I'm like, oh crap, I don't have Chocolate on Blu-ray. I have this like old terrible DVD copy. So yeah, I'm glad this was a must upgrade. And the only special feature it says here is the making of, which is actually pretty interesting to watch. So yeah, this is good stuff. Very entertaining action flick. And then we have, of course, Ji Jae-yanin's second feature role in Raging Phoenix. Again, Magnet released it. And both of these are the Region A Blu-rays. I think they're Region A's. And, this one, not as good as Chocolate. I think they, Thai action in the early 2010s started using a little bit more CGI, which is like not what you want to see most of the time, right? Because the whole reason we loved Ong Bak and Chocolate is because of the lack of CGI and, the use of actual practical fighting and stunt work and stuff like that. So I think they already started to kind of lose it a little bit in the 2010s with some of their action flicks, relying more on like terrible CGI effects and stuff like that. But I still think that some of the Thai films in the 2010s were legitimately entertaining, regardless of some of those flaws, and I think this is one of them. There's not a lot of CGI in this. There's just a few really bad shots. I think they used like green screens for some background effects for a few shots, and it didn't look right. But most of the action in this it's shot in camera. Some additional wire use, I think, in this compared to some of the other Thai action flicks, but it's fun. I think this is fun. Got some unique set pieces for sure, and I think the final fight is satisfying. Now, special features here are the making of and behind the scenes. So, yeah, I enjoy this. I still do enjoy this. Ji-ja, an actress that you would have hoped would have made like one action movie every year, for like the last 15 years, but that just didn't happen. It just didn't happen, unfortunately. But we do have a few pretty entertaining films from her. So now we'll go to Japan. Got at least one tricked out release here and a few other very good quality releases. Now the first few releases, we're going to go to Third Window Films. And one here is Funuke, Show Me Some Love, You Losers. And it's a pretty bizarre title. I reviewed this way back in the day, and this is a really good flick, actually. It's a story of a countryside family struggle. The movie begins with both parents dying in a car accident. The elder sister, played by Eriko Sato, comes back home from Tokyo because they are no longer able to send her money for acting school. And then the other two members of the family are the little sister, played by Aimi Satsukawa, an asthma-stricken aspiring manga writer, and the older brother, played by Masatoshi Nagase. He was a really good actor. And he unfortunately abuses his wife, who's played by Hiromi Nagasaku. So the cast in this is just legit. And it goes through kind of like the family dynamics and stuff. And it's really good. I remember just watching this. I think one of the rental services that were alive back in the day. I rented it on like Cineflix or something like that, and it just like totally surprised me how good it was. It's kind of like a drama comedy. Is how I would describe it, really. So if you want just like a good quality Japanese flick, check this out. There's a making of and some deleted scenes. Yeah, this is very good. And then a newer one from just a few years ago, another Third Window Films release of a really interesting movie, Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes. And I almost can't describe this film without really spoiling a lot of it. All I will say is it's like a time travel movie, but it's almost like, well, let me read the back just to see if they do a good job. This is a time travel suspense comedy. Cafe owner Kato is relaxing after a long day when an image of himself suddenly appears on his television, speaking from the future 2 minutes ahead. Okay? Soon, he, his staff, and regular customers are trapped in a time prison, eager to learn about the distant future. And then I'll just leave it at that. So it's like a time movie, but it's like through communication, not through actual travel for the most part. So it's like the script in this is like really on point, and it's like you'll see things happen like on the television screen like 2 minutes later, and then like some stuff will lead to it, and it's just really a neat little movie. And this is one of those movies that if you like movies that have good script writing, this is a movie to watch, right? I mean, it's kind of like One Cut of the Dead, right? The reason why that movie's so good is because of the script writing, And, movies with lower budgets like this and that almost have to rely on that if you really want to make an impact with audiences. And this does that. It's a really good script. You get a short film in here, making of, and an interview with the director. So, yeah, this is a pretty cool flick. Go check it out. Alright, now we got a DVD. I'm not sure why I got this on DVD. Is it only available on DVD? This one confuses me. Maybe I got it before it got, like, a Blu-ray release, but in any case, To the Ends of the Earth, a Kiyoshi Kurosawa film. Kind of like the cover on this. It has kind of a neat, nice little color scheme. Yoko, played by former J-pop idol Atsuko Maeda, travels with a small crew to Uzbekistan to shoot an episode of her reality TV travel show. In front of the camera, her persona is carefree and happy-go-lucky, but behind the scenes, she is cautious and introverted. And it kind of goes from there. And I'm really happy to see Kiyoshi continue to make some really interesting movies like this. I think this is one of his best films of the last, like, decade. You know, this, Before We Vanish, I liked a lot, too. He did do a few duds along the way, like Real, I think, was one. That was a dud, if there ever was one. And, but he's still capable of making some really interesting stuff, and this is. It's got, like, I mean, it's a drama with a tiny bit of suspense maybe mixed in. But there are a few scenes in this movie that are actually pretty surprising when they happen, you know? And it does a really great job with, like, cultural barrier presentation. You know, like misunderstandings between the cultural barriers, certain things that you interpret some ways that they're really not that way just because you're ignorant of the other culture. And it's really interesting. It's really good. And despite the fact that she's a former J-pop idol, Atsuko Maeda is a good actress. She's good in this. I very much enjoyed her performance. You have an interview with Kiyoshi Kurosawa that lasts about 39 minutes. And I watched parts of that before I did my review. If you want more info, check out my review. But yeah, this is another good one. Good quality flick. And then finally, folks, we got a trilogy. Dead or Alive, baby. And this has been out for a while, but I picked it up a while ago. I just haven't covered it. And yeah, this is the Takashi Miike trilogy of films. And for newer subscribers, if you don't know, I did a playlist of almost every single Takashi Miike film. So like I covered like 95% of his filmography, so I covered like 90 movies or something. And just look it up on my channel. Just type in his name and the playlist will pop right up for you. And it's like a whole list chronological in like multiple videos. I don't know how many videos it was. Maybe a dozen or something. I go chronologically all the way through and review all of his movies, or almost all of them. So I covered these already in that playlist if you want to check out my reviews of these. But yeah, this is a good trilogy. I think, you know, the first film has some pacing issues. There's some really disgusting scenes in the first one. You know how Miike is sometimes, especially some of his earlier stuff. Sometimes he'll throw something in and it's like, man, that was not very tasteful, Miike. Not very tasteful. But I do enjoy the first film, mostly for like the first half hour and the last half hour. I think it suffers a bit during the middle. But it's a good flick. And pretty crazy. Let me just give you the plot for the first one. In Dead or Alive, tough gangster Ryuichi, played by Riki Takuchi, and his ethnically Chinese gang make a play to take over the drug trade in Tokyo's Shinjuku district. But he meets his match in Detective Jojima, played by Sho Aikawa. Yes. And they star in all three movies together. It's kind of like different characters. I think the second film is the best of the trilogy, and I think it's by a pretty considerable margin, actually. I think the second film is like a step above the first, for sure. And I think it just has a really good dramatic plot, more consistent all the way through in terms of its entertainment value, and it also has some crazy scenes that are like hilarious. And then the third Dead or Alive film, I'm really not a fan of it. It's, you know, I tried to watch it a few times well, maybe not recently, but in recent years, and it's just like, I don't know, it's okay. It's okay. So, yes, this is the Arrow release. Region A. Got a good amount of special features here. Interviews with the actors, new interviews with the producer, the actors, audio commentary from Tom Mess, which is always good, archival interviews and making of featurettes, trailers, reversible sleeves, etc. Usual tricked out release that Arrow comes up with. But yeah, this is if you want to explore Miike's filmography, you basically have to watch these. I mean, it's like one of his quintessential trilogies. You know what I mean? So check it out when you got a chance. And let me know what you think. If you think the second one's the best, or if you like the first one, or even the third the best. But that's it for this little haul here. And I'm hoping to get some of these out maybe once a week in December. And I'm going to be posting them, hopefully, on Saturday mornings, which is like a bonus video. I just have so many movies I want to review this December. Like I found like a batch of newer Korean movies I want to cover. And then just, and the usual stuff for Japan and Hong Kong and the other countries. So I have to kind of fit these in on Saturday mornings. Release them on Saturday mornings for you. And hopefully you got a few recommendations from this, and look out for some additional collection videos coming your way this month. And as always, folks, I'll see you next time.